Okay, this is a follow-up to a film I never imagined they would revisit. It just seemed unlikely the more time passed. But here we are 13 years later and Orphan is back for another chilling entry. It was announced in 2020 that a prequel film was being developed, which would see the return of Isabelle Fuhrman, who played the titular Orphan in the first film. Now you're probably wondering how can the actress return to a role she played when she was 11 years old, especially with the film being a prequel. Well, I'll discuss that later in the video, so sit tight. Originally, the film's working title was Esther, the alias used by Fuhrman's character. But now the film's official title is Orphan First Kill. It was also confirmed by William Brent Bell, the film's director, that the production had started filming in Winnipeg. Now I'm sure that many will remember the events of the first film, but just in case you didn't remember, here's a quick summary. The original film centered around Esther, a young Russian girl who gets adopted by a family following the loss of their unborn child. The 9-year-old orphan is seemingly the perfect child to complete their family, or so they thought. It doesn't take long for Esther to reveal her true nature, which is far more disturbing than the couple can even begin to imagine. She's definitely not a normal child for her age. In fact, I would consider skipping ahead a bit if you haven't seen this film, because I'm building up to a big spoiler about Esther's character. While focused on Esther, the film's main protagonist was Kate Coleman, played by the great Vera Farmiga, who would later go on to play two notable horror icons. She played the mother who soon becomes suspicious of her adopted daughter's behavior, while her husband John, played by Peter Sarsgaard, is none the wiser. After a string of incidents and an attempt at straining the relationship between Kate and her husband succeeds, Esther, who becomes obsessed with John, tries to seduce her adopted father. It all goes south when he rejects her advances and threatens to send her back to the orphanage. Carnage ensues when she kills John and then attempts to murder the family to cover her tracks. The film was made for only $20 million and it grossed $78.8 million, which is almost 4 times its budget. That's impressive for a little horror film that has a concept like Orphan, compared to other films in a genre which focuses on supernatural elements. This was a lot more grounded. Even so, the story was gripping, and the twist which reveals that Esther is actually an older woman impersonating a child encouraged positive word of mouth. Considering both the success of the first film at the box office and just the positive reception from fans, it's surprising that the studio didn't greenlight a sequel sooner. Some people would say it's unnecessary making a follow-up, considering how the film concludes with Esther meeting an end. But that's something that can be changed had the filmmakers wish to continue a story. Well, they did, but instead of going forward in time, we will be revisiting a past which was mentioned throughout the first film. Now for the upcoming film, they'll be retreading much of the first film's premise, which is to be expected. It wouldn't be Orphan if they didn't follow the same pattern as before. Prior to her being adopted by the Colemans, the family in the first film, Esther or Lena has been adopted before, which is what we'll be exploring in this prequel. Here's a summary of the upcoming film. The prequel centers on Lena, a murderous sociopath who looks like a child due to a medical condition. Following an escape from an Estonian psychiatric facility, Lena comes to America by impersonating the missing daughter of a wealthy Connecticut family. But Lena's new life as Esther comes with an unexpected wrinkle and pits her against a mother who will protect her family at any cost. Even with the premise being similar to the original entry, I'm sure there'll be enough shocking moments to keep viewers from feeling a sense of deja vu. As interesting as it is to delve into Lena's past, the film wouldn't have the same appeal if it had recast the role. But at the same time, it would make sense to find a new actress who can match Fuhrman's performance, since at this point the actress has grown out of the role. She played wonderfully more than a decade ago. Now I was both excited and surprised that Fuhrman would be returning, since she's supposed to be playing a character in her 30s, who can easily assume the role of a 9-year-old girl. Fuhrman was 11 years old when she shot the first film, and now she's 25 years old. For her scenes where she had to play an adult, it was a lot easier back then to age up the actress, so she appeared older than her actual age. Now they have the challenge of making a grown woman look like a child, which is ironic considering the actress is playing a character who's an adult pretending to be a child. It's not uncommon for Hollywood to have adults play children. It's been done a million times over to varying degrees of success. Martin Short infamously played a 10-year-old in the 1994 comedy film Clifford. The actor was 40 years old when he shot the film 4 years before it was released. There's also Moses Ingram as Jolene in 2020's The Queen's Gambit, where the actress played a 12-year-old at 26. Those are just a few instances where adults have played children. Now I know that with today's technology it's not impossible to de-age an actor, but the filmmakers have decided not to go that route. Instead they are relying on a combination of makeup, a body double, and camera tricks. That's interesting considering it will be a lot more effective to use CGI, which would be costly, but it would be easier to de-age a 25-year-old woman compared to other films which use the technology on actors in their 50s and older. De-aging an actor or using CGI to make someone look younger isn't always a smooth process. Sometimes it will work and other times it will stand out like a sore thumb. Even with makeup, camera angles and lighting, you can't entirely hide that the actress is older. There's going to be an adjustment, where the viewers will have to suspend their disbelief for this to work. In the recent trailer, there are some instances where the actress looks older, and others where she looks like a child, when she's supposed to be in a child persona. Some will notice it immediately, and others will buy into the illusion. For me, it doesn't entirely work. Making her look like a 9-year-old using mostly traditional techniques was always going to have its limitations, and it shows in this trailer. Regardless, I'm still going to enjoy seeing how they come up with clever ways to keep the trickery going. Also, can we appreciate how amazing Isabelle Fuhrman is as this character? She hasn't played this role in over a decade, yet she hasn't missed a beat. It's no surprise that she's even better than before, because over the years the star has only improved the craft as an actress. Ever since playing Esther in 2009, the actress has continued to act in a number of films. She appeared in 2012's The Hunger Games as Clove, one of the female tributes who was hell-bent on taking out Katniss Everdeen, the film's protagonist played by Jennifer Lawrence. While her character Clove isn't a patch on her role in Orphan, she makes for a memorable antagonist who you'll love to hate. Unfortunately, her character doesn't survive beyond the first film, when she's killed by another contestant. After a role in a blockbuster film, Fuhrman has gone on to star in independent films, television shows, and even theatre. She returned to the horror genre in the 2013 fantasy horror film, Don't Let Me Go. Now, I really wanted to see this film, but it hasn't been shown to audiences outside of the BIFF, the Brussels International Fantastic Film Festival, where it was screened. Next up, she appeared in the 2014 film, All the Wilderness, where she starred alongside Cody Schmidt-McPhee. The film focuses on a teenager who is struggling to cope with the death of his father. Added to that, he has an obsession with the death of people and animals. Fuhrman plays Val, an artisan donut maker who has an instant attraction to James, Schmidt-McPhee's character. It's an interesting pairing that never loses the intrigue it has from the start. Between 2015 and 2016, she also had a recurring role on Masters of Sex, the 2013 Showtime series, which was loosely based on Thomas Mayer's autobiography. Fuhrman played a grown-up version of the lead character's daughter, once the show had a 5-year time skip. In 2016, she starred in The Cell, a film adaptation of the Stephen King novel of the same name. She stars alongside John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson, who all play survivors working together after a cell phone signal turns people into zombie-like creatures known as phoners. Most recently, the actress starred in the 2021 psychological thriller, The Novice. There she played Alex Dahl, a queer freshman who joins the university's rowing team and undertakes an obsessive physical and psychological journey to make it to the top of the varsity boat, no matter the cost. If you want to see the kind of actress she's matured into, then you should definitely check out this film. One of the main selling points of this film is to see Fuhrman back in a role that made her into a star. Esther has become synonymous with the talent that it's unimaginable seeing someone else other than the actress playing the character. But this time around, Fuhrman isn't the only actress bringing Esther to life. She will now share the role with a younger actress who will act as a body double. Kennedy Irwin, a 12-year-old Canadian actress, was used as a stand-in for numerous shots and scenes where they needed someone who has the body and height of a child. So the actress has had more of a physical role to play than one that involved acting. The acting bits was left to Fuhrman, who worked closely with the young actress during the production of the film. In terms of finding someone who can match Esther's stature, Irwin is perfect for the role. She's the right age for the character and has a bunch of skills that can be used for the film. The actress is a singer, gymnast, and a dancer. Any of those skills could easily be incorporated into Esther's character. It would give the young actress a chance to do more with her character than just mimicking a co-star's movements. Our next cast member is a welcome addition to this project, because I'm a big fan of the actress. Julia Stiles will play Trisha Albright, the woman whose missing daughter Lena impersonates, until she catches onto her ploy to deceive her family. It would be great to see Stiles in a lead role, as opposed to some of the supporting roles she's done in recent years. I can't believe it's been 23 years since her breakout role in 10 Things I Hate About You, where she starred alongside the late Heath Ledger. The two actors made for an amazing pairing. Seeing a relationship blossom in the film is still a joy to watch, especially given how things start off between the two. The 1999 film, which is a modernization of Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew, is still one of the most celebrated films that Stiles has made in her career. There's also Save the Last Dance, the 2001 teen dance film, where Stiles showed us her dance moves. The actress played Sarah Johnson, a teenager aspiring to become a professional ballerina. Unfortunately, her dreams are cut short when her mother dies in a car accident, and she has to relocate from suburban Chicago to the South Side to live with her estranged father. It's a whole new experience for the teenager, who now attends a majority black high school. That's where she meets Sean Patrick Thomas's character, and they bond over their love of dance. He helps her regain a passion for dancing and even teaches her some new dance moves. Stiles' chemistry with the co-star is intoxicating to watch. They both make for a wonderful interracial couple, who you're rooting for to succeed, especially when their relationship goes through its challenges. The film is an all-time classic which is up there with some of the best dance movies. Stiles is no stranger to the horror genre. She previously starred as Catherine Thorne, the mother of Damien Thorne, the Antichrist in the 2006 film The Omen, which is a remake of the 1976 horror classic of the same name. There, her character was put through the ringer having to face off against the devil's spawn. Now in her latest project, she has to deal with another threat that's comparable to Damien. Moving on, we have the Bourne franchise, where she played Nicolette, Nikki Parsons, an ally to Matt Damon's character. She appeared in 4 of the 5 films, with the recent 2016 film being her final outing as the character. She also appeared in 2012 Silver Linings Playbook, where she played Jennifer Lawrence's on-screen sister, in a small supporting role. Despite a limited screen time, the actress managed to play a memorable character. Most recently, she starred in Hustlers, the 2019 Jennifer Lopez and Constance Wu-led film. There she played Elizabeth, a journalist working on a story about former stripper Dorothy, known as Destiny, and Destiny's former friend and mentor Ramona Vega. Her character was based on the real-life journalist Jessica Pressler, who covered a story in New York Magazine's 2015 article titled The Hustlers and Scores, which was adapted for the film. I'm looking forward to seeing what Stiles is able to do with her latest role, which is already shaping up to be a treat. She's an amazing actress who is easily the biggest name attached to this project. While her role would be similar to that of Vera Farmiga in the first film, I hope they give her enough material to make her character more than just a copy of her predecessor. It's going to be great seeing Stiles' character face off against Esther, although the odds of her surviving are pretty low, given what we know about the future. She could definitely be one of the people who adds to Esther's body count. Next up, we have Rosssif Sutherland as Alan Albright, the patriarch of the Albright family. Sutherland is best known for playing historical figure Nostradamus in the 2013 CW series Reign. There he played the French astrologer in a recurring role throughout the show's 4-season run. There's also Hyena Road, a 2015 Canadian war drama film. There he played Warrant Officer Ryan Sanders, which he was nominated for an acting award by the ACTRA, the Alliance of Canadian Cinema, Television and Radio Artists. One of my favorite films from the actor is Trench 11, a 2017 horror film set near the end of the First World War. Sutherland plays Lieutenant Burton, who is tasked with leading a team of Allied soldiers on a mission to investigate a German bunker. Most recently, he starred in Possessor, a 2020 science fiction psychological horror film. The Brandon Cronenberg directed film follows Tassa Voss, an assassin who uses a brain implant to possess the bodies of other people to kill her targets, which works well until her latest mission. Sutherland plays Voss's on-screen husband in a small supporting role. I mentioned earlier that the prequel will be following the same blueprint as the first film, and already I can see Esther getting attached to her new father. In the original film, it was uncomfortable seeing Esther seduce a grown man. Even though she's meant to be older than she looks, it was still a problematic scene, because of the actress' real age compared to her co-star. If and when we get a scene with Esther trying to make a move on Sutherland's character, it will be less of a problem since they are both adults. Although the scene will still be a hard watch for some, including myself. Knowing Esther, Lena's past and the abuse she had to endure as a child, makes it heartbreaking to see her desperately try to get intimate with the men who become her father. I really wish Esther could find happiness without having to resort to conning families and throwing herself at men. But it's what she's infamous for, so it's inevitable. I'm hoping that they don't try to push the boundaries of what they can do, given that the actress is now old enough to be able to do more suggestive scenes. It could end up just being gratuitous. If that's the case, then I'd rather they leave it out completely. Now that viewers are aware that Esther is older than she appears, it diminishes the shock value we had the first time she tried to get sexual with someone. I don't see how you can top that scene from the first film, knowing what we know now, unless you haven't seen the previous film. Next up, we have Matthew Finlan, who will play Gunnar Albright, the eldest child of the Albright family. I know that Esther is the antagonist in this story, and not everyone she hurts deserves it, but that slap she gives Finlan's character, it seemed well deserved. She bitch-slapped him so hard I think it blew her cover. Considering his character Gunnar comes from a wealthy family, they might make him spoilt or stuck up. Maybe even a mommy's boy, or the type of person who's always trying to gain his parents' favor. No matter his personality, there will definitely be friction between him and Esther, who will either try to blackmail him or force his hand when the need arises. Especially when he tries to go around convincing his parents that his sister is suspicious. She will need more than just his slap to keep him in check. Finlan is a fairly new actor compared to the other talent attached to this project. The 25-year-old actor began his acting career in 2018 with the short film Tiny House. There's also his role as Charlie Chaplin in Murdoch Mysteries, the long-running Canadian drama series. He appeared as the comic in the season 14 episode titled Murdoch and the Tramp, a reference to Chaplin's most memorable character, which he conceived in 1914. The actor also appeared in the 2021 TV film Jingle Bell Princess in a small supporting role. There wasn't much for the actor to do in the film, but it's nice seeing him make an appearance in a romantic comedy, even briefly. Most recently he appeared in Brazin, a 2022 thriller starring Alyssa Milano and Sam Page. The film was based on Nora Roberts' novel Brazin Virtua. Finlan plays a supporting role, which goes in an interesting direction. This movie isn't really for me personally, but it definitely has some interesting twists that would be worth the build-up. Next up, we have Japanese-Canadian actor Hiro Kanagawa, who will play Detective Dunnan, an officer who is in charge of Esther's case. It seems like he's tried and failed to locate her in the past 4 years, leading Mrs. Albright to be disgruntled with him, despite his best efforts to help the family. This is another actor who I'm pretty happy to have on board this prequel. Where do I even start with his film credits? Kanagawa has almost 3 decades of roles to his name, all of which has cemented him as one of the most versatile actors in the business. Okay, I think I know where to start now. Rather than focus on his more mainstream work, I'll go for the projects that deserves a spotlight. There's the 2020 short film titled The Tailor, where he stars alongside Megan Danso. The film focuses on a gender non-conforming person struggling to assert their identity when they unexpectedly find courage from an aging master tailor. It's a touching story that will warm your heart. The actor recently made an appearance in the Apple TV series Panchiko as Mr. Goto. Depending on if the show is renewed, we can get more of his character in future seasons. Fingers crossed, since it's an incredible adaptation of the novel. The actor is also known for his voice acting work, where he has dubbed over the voices of many anime characters. Mobile Suit Gundam fans will recognize him as the voice of Giren Zabi, a member of the Zabi family, the primary antagonist of the 1979 show. The actor recently worked on Future Boy Conan, the 1978 series from Hayao Miyazaki, the co-founder of Studio Ghibli. It's notable for being the directorial debut of the legendary animator. Kanagawa played Dr. Brayak Lau, which was recorded for the 4K Blu-ray release of the show. The trailer pretty much gives away the actor's role in the film. He's likely to be one of the first people to become suspicious of Esther and begins investigating her. We know exactly where he'll end up by the time the credits roll, and while it's obvious that many of the characters introduced in his film would end up dead, I still would have liked to see his journey unfold in the film rather than the trailer. Moving on from the actor, we have Lauren Cochrane, who will play Officer Lee, a subordinate to Dunnan, presumably his partner or a junior officer, who's recently been assigned to Esther's case. The actress has had a number of roles before her current project, where she played an officer. There's a 2019 Sam Worthington-led film, Fractured, where she starred as Officer Childs. That same year, the actress appeared in the Lifetime movie, I Am Somebody's Child, the Regina Louise story, as a supporting character. The film was based on the real-life story of Regina Louise, who wrote about a lengthy experience in the US foster care system. I don't think there'll be a huge focus on her character, compared to some of the other cast members who will be more involved in Esther's game of deception. Still, it will be nice seeing the actress in the film. Rounding out the cast, we have Samantha Walkes as Dr. Siga. From the trailer, it's revealed she'll be playing a child therapist, who will be working with Esther to help her with any trauma she might have gone through during her 4-year absence. But through those sessions with Esther, she will discover that she's an imposter, or at least feeding her lies. Walkes has appeared in theatre, television and film, where she played numerous supporting roles. She played Jory in Disgraced, a stage play based on Ayad Akhtar's 2012 play of the same name. The 2019 production was held at Alberta Theatre Projects, where it had a successful run. She then played Cinderella in Neptune Theatre's 2019 production of The Fairy Tale. As with her previous outings, the show was successful. Because of the demand for the musical, it was extended beyond its intended run. The actress is best known for her role in the 2022 series, The Kings of Napa, where she plays Rose King. She's the wife of Donna King, played by actor Rance Nix, who is one of the 3 main characters on the show. I'm not usually a big fan of soap operas, but this is one I found myself hooked on from the first episode. Walkes is given plenty to do on the show, which makes full use of her talents as an actress. Okay, now that we've covered the cast, it's time to shift the focus over to the creative team, responsible for bringing this film together. Now, I'm not going to lie, I'm not entirely convinced that this creative team is the right choice for this film, and you'll see why once we've discussed some of the filmmakers. So let's get into it. First up, we have the film's director, William Brent Bell, who's primarily directed in the horror genre. He first started his career in Hollywood by making Stay Alive, a 2006 supernatural horror film. The feature film was written by Machi Peterman, who has since collaborated with the filmmaker on 3 other projects. 6 years later, the director released his second feature film titled The Devil Inside. The film sees Isabella, played by actress Fernanda Andrade, searching for answers behind an incident involving her mother, who murdered 3 people before being sent to a hospital for the criminally insane. Isabella wants to know if she's actually insane or if she was possessed by a demon. The film was made for $1 million and made $101.8 million once it finished its theatrical run. There's also 2013's Whir, which sees a defense attorney discovering a client is a werewolf. There's some wonderful moments in this film, which does a great job of giving a realistic interpretation of a werewolf. The filmmaker's most recognizable work to date has been the 2016 film The Boy, which centers around a porcelain doll which may or may not be haunted. I'm not giving away the twist for the movie, but it's an interesting horror film which gave birth to a franchise. The director returned for the 2020 sequel titled Brahms, The Boys 2, which ultimately wasted an opportunity for this franchise to be anything more than a paint-by-the-numbers horror film. Not surprisingly, the film underperformed, grossing only twice its budget, compared to the original film which was more profitable. Most recently, the director made Separation, which from the title sounds like a drama about divorce. That's just part of what this film has to offer. The other is a horror flick which plays with familiar genre tropes. It's a waste of Rupert Friend and Mami Gama, who are great actors stuck with lackluster material. Yeah, I think I've said enough to give you my impression of Bell's work as a director. As well versed as he is with the genre, he hasn't quite made a film that I've thoroughly enjoyed. It's a shame, since I've gone into most of his films with high expectations, only to end up being disappointed time and time again. Somehow, no matter how interesting the concept may be, he can never elevate the material, which is why I'm concerned that Orphan First Kill might suffer from having a lackluster director. Even with his track record, I'm hoping that the film isn't as bad as I'm expecting, because I want this movie to succeed. Maybe there's some hope given the original screenwriter is producing, and the script is good. Next up on the creative team, we have David Cochrane, who wrote the script for the upcoming prequel film. He's written for both film and television, giving us enough of a sample size to be able to judge his work as a writer. Personally, I'm just as mixed about his work as I am with the director. Cochrane wrote the script for the 2013 film The Haunting in Connecticut 2, Ghost of Georgia, a spiritual successor to the original 2009 movie. Overall, the filmmaker was able to craft a better story than the previous film which relied too much on horror cliches. He also worked on the 2015 Scream TV series, which is based on the popular horror film franchise of the same name. There's also the 2017 streaming series, Law, which was based on the podcast series of the same name. The horror anthology series ran for 2 seasons, before it was cancelled. Most recently, he scripted the 2019 film, Prey, along with director Frank Colfan. The film features Logan Miller as the lead, along with Christine Fawcett. Produced by Blumhouse Productions, the film sees a young man left on a deserted island. He soon discovers that he's not the only person on the island. There are other inhabitants, including a bloodthirsty jungle creature. I'm a big fan of the cast, but not even the actors can save this film from its clunky storytelling. Rounding out the creative team, we have David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick, the screenwriter from the original film, who is now an executive producer on the follow-up project. Other than his work on the horror franchise, he's best known for writing the screenplay for 2018's Aquaman and the upcoming 2023 sequel, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which are both directed by James Wan, a celebrated horror director known for the Conjuring films. Speaking of which, the screenwriter recently wrote the screenplay for The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, which is the 8th film in the horror franchise and the 3rd in the mainline series. Because he was part of the original team that made the first Orphan, it's a positive having him on board this new project in any capacity. The filmmaker, along with Alex Mace, who conceived the original idea for the 2009 film, are both responsible for the story used in the prequel. Just how much of the ideas were kept in the final script is unknown at this point. Even with my gripes with the filmmakers I've discussed, other people might feel differently, and that's okay. If you've enjoyed their work, then I'm glad it appealed to your sensibilities as a viewer. You're not wrong for loving their work, nor am I for disliking it. My expectations for this film are slightly moderate at the moment, and that's because I don't want to be burned by this film. My issues with the creative team aside, I'm worried that it will fall into the same trappings that most films have when they decide to become a franchise. I've seen plenty of sequels and prequels to horror films that have failed to live up to the expectations set by the original film. There are too many to count, but the most recent one to remind me to never get overly excited is 2021's Don't Breathe 2. That was a low-budget horror film that had a strong first entry. Then along came the sequel, which completely imploded on itself. Sometimes it might seem like a good idea revisiting a project intended to be a one-and-done film, but it could end up being a misfire if the right elements aren't in place. Like a good story first and foremost, and a director who has a vision and passion for the film they are making. That's why other horror franchises like the Conjuring films, including the Annabelle spin-offs, and even John Krasinski's A Quiet Place franchise, have managed to maintain the quality set by the first film in a series. The first Orphan movie wasn't a masterpiece in the horror genre, but it definitely did enough to be a memorable film that is still beloved by many fans, including myself. If this prequel fails to be as good as the original, then it would be a huge waste of our time and money, but also a disappointment given all the time we waited to see this comeback, only fate to crash and burn. Given how passionate Isabelle Fuhrman has been about this project, it seems like it has the potential to be as good as the first film. She's had nothing but amazing things to say about her experience shooting a film, and even admitted that she wasn't sure about returning. Yet she ended up reprising her role, and that to me shows that she didn't just do this for a paycheck. There was something about this film, either the script or how it was pitched to her, that convinced her it was worth doing. Then again, maybe she's just happy with the prospect of playing a part as special to her. Despite all of the roles she's had in her career thus far, Esther is the most iconic role to date. If there's anything that will make this film enjoyable, it's a performance which will carry this movie, however good or bad it turns out to be. When it was announced, I thought this film would receive a full theatrical release, but now it's been confirmed that it will be shown in select cinemas. It will also be released on Paramount Plus, where it will be available to stream on the 19th of August. I guess we should be happy that it's not a streaming exclusive. Otherwise, a lot of people who don't have Paramount Plus in their country will be unable to watch it legally. So what are your thoughts on Orphan returning after all these years? Is it too little too late? Also, what did you think of the trailer? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways folks, that's all for now. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed the show. Please feel free to subscribe, like, and comment below. And hey, maybe this wasn't your cup of tea. And that's okay. Just remember to take care and stay safe.